Now, I know what you might be thinking, remote work kills company culture, right? Well, stick around because I'm about to show you why that's not true at all. With employees either working from home or co-working spaces and not having those direct one-to-one personal interactions, it can go against everything that you've ever known. You may know how it's done within a traditional office setup, but maybe you're not too sure how to cultivate it within a remote team setting. So if that is the case, then stick around, because as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to share with you some of the key secrets to building a vibrant and connected culture. So no matter where your employees are in the world, they're going to feel as though they're part of a great company and will want to go above and beyond in order to contribute to the success of that company. Now, it's undeniable that remote working has become more and more popular within today's business world. And over the past few years, I've personally seen a huge shift. And that's largely because of COVID and companies being forced into a situation where they have to adopt this new way of working. But also having lived in Bali for 2 years, which was like the remote working epicenter of the world. Therefore, it's important to maintain a strong company culture to ensure that each of your employees are engaged and feel as though they're part of a team. But if you haven't worked in this way before, or haven't had much experience, it might feel quite daunting, but I assure you, it's very simple once you know how. And of course, there are always going to be challenges that you're going to need to overcome. And when your team spread across multiple different locations, there's obviously things that you have to take into account, such as different time zones, religious holidays, or even cultural differences. But in this video, we're going to be looking at some of the strategies and best practices that I've actually used within my own companies whenever I've adopted a remote working setup. So I think the biggest shift for me when it came to remote working was during COVID. So my company at the time had 27 employees across the whole of the UK. And to add to that, I had actually moved to the other side of the world, to Bali in Indonesia, just after the first lockdown. And so the time difference added another layer of complexion to the situation. Despite this, I knew that if my move to Bali was to be a success, I would need to maintain the great culture we'd worked so hard to build. And one thing for sure is that I had to find a way to maintain what we had built and to not compromise the company's values in the process, as I still wanted to keep identity and I still wanted people to enjoy working for us. So I had to begin thinking outside of the box and find and learn new strategies that worked. But you have to understand where I was before this time. I was very much against remote working. There'd been a number of occasions where my staff had proposed working 1 or 2 days from home, and I just shut it down because I didn't know any better. But the only reason why I didn't entertain it is that I thought working remotely would compromise the company culture. I was a very open-minded boss, but just this one thing I was not on board with, as I felt as though I had to protect what we had built. But how wrong was I? Through a series of events, and largely because the whole world was put into a lockdown, I quickly learned that this wasn't the case, and in fact, it can be done. And not only did I learn that it could be done, but actually, my business ran even better by adopting a remote model. So this video is all about sharing the key strategies that you can begin implementing within your business to help build a great culture when you're working with remote teams. So let's get into it. So the first strategy, or the first key element when it comes to building a remarkable company culture when working remotely, would be team building exercises. Now, these team activities aren't just fun and games. They're the secret sauce that brings your remote team together. I'm talking about stronger connections, better communication, and a kind of company spirit that makes people excited to log on every morning. Very simple and very easy to implement. However, I do feel as though you need to be strategic when you do this. So by having these activities at set days and times, everybody knows that it's a part of their schedule and can schedule their activities around it. Also, there are going to be key times in the week when it's more beneficial to have these activities. Whether that be the beginning of the week to set the tone, or perhaps midweek to lift the energy. There's so many benefits. And these activities effectively bring people together. They help to connect the team and they make work enjoyable and fun. And by using platforms like Zoom or Microsoft Teams, there are various team building activities that you and your employees can play. Some of my personal favorites include Guess the Logo, Virtual Debate Club, and Virtual Trivia relating to your industry. Because not only are these activities fun, but they also provide an opportunity to develop key skills. Things like overcoming objections or building your team's knowledge base around your product or service. And in the description of this video, I've included a link to a downloadable document that I created which contains 50 virtual team building exercises. And these range from quick icebreaker games to more in-depth team building challenges. So please make sure you download and take advantage of this resource because it's going to be a very valuable tool that's going to help you in building your culture. In addition to organized team activities, you can also encourage casual social connections by creating a virtual water cooler. So the virtual water cooler concept comes from the notion that the water cooler would be the central point where employees would escape the confines of their desk for 5 or 10 minutes to get a cup of water and just hang out and chat. So if working in a remote setup, you have to try and recreate the premise of the water cooler. And by using platforms like Slack, you can do so. You can create a separate communication channel for off-topic discussions. The sort of things like what you did on the weekend, memes, funny emails or jokes, upcoming events, office banter, who embarrassed themselves at the last company social, the usual stuff that happens in a fun and friendly work environment. And I know of companies that actually share a random question every day. So they post a fun, engaging question, something like, what's your favorite book? Or if you was a film star, then who would you be? Random, yes, but it encouraged everyone to get involved and to get to know each other better. And a lot of value can come out of these discussions. Another crucial element in creating a good company culture is hosting remote workshops and classes. Imagine hosting monthly workshops where everyone gets together virtually to focus on key learnings relevant to the business. Now, these could be masterclasses, training sessions, or even expert guest speakers. And so by doing this actively as a team and encouraging everyone to share ideas and contribute, you can create an environment that promotes and prioritizes collaboration and continuous improvement. This then helps to ensure that your team members don't feel isolated as if they're working on their own all the time. I personally love hosting these sort of workshops because they also push me to learn in order to be able to deliver the session and for it to be successful. I have to be fluent in whatever topic I decide to focus on. So everyone is learning and everyone's growing. But always make sure that these sessions are always fun or inspiring, because when done correctly, they can offer major opportunities for learning and development that can massively boost morale and cultivate a sense of unity within your team. Another crucial aspect of building a strong culture in a remote setup is ensuring that every team member is consistently aligned with your values, visions, and expectations. So when you're onboarding any new member of staff, make sure that they're clear about your values, your vision, and what your company culture looks and feels like. It's important that you clearly articulate the expectations you have for their behavior in order to maintain consistency. It's not enough to cover these points during the first week of work or when onboarding and then forget about it. It's something that you have to continuously reinforce time and time again. You have to continuously beat that drum. But it doesn't have to be loud and in your face. It can be done in a subtle and in subliminal ways. For instance, you could have your vision statement or your values displayed on the backdrop of your Zoom call or in the background of your Slack channel. Or you could even have them displayed in your email footer. There's so many little subtle ways that you can reinforce what your vision is or what your values are and who you are as a company. This really begins to embed this way of thinking, which affects the culture within your business. Another way to develop a great culture is to make your employees feel valued and appreciated. And you do this through giving recognition. Thanking and recognizing people who add and contribute to the culture. Celebrating and rewarding those that display the behaviors that you want to see within the company. And not just doing so on a one-to-one basis, but publicly amongst the rest of their peers. So whether that be within management meetings or within the workshops that we've just spoken about, or at the beginning of the week when you're holding a morning huddle. And that's actually another thing I recommend, guys, and that's to hold a huddle every morning to set the tone for the week. It's a time for everyone to come together, check in, set the goals for the week, and discuss key learnings from the past week, address things like what needs improving and perhaps what went well and what we need to improve on moving forward. Having a Monday morning huddle gets everyone back on the same page. Everyone re-collaborates, and it helps everyone to get into the zone and set the expectation for the week. Now, getting back to the recognition, it is simply about rewarding people, even if it's just a simple thank you, just recognizing the hard work and their efforts. But then maybe from time to time, you might want to give them a surprise gift every now and then, so employees feel even more valued and appreciated. And it's not even about the size of the gift, it's just a simple gesture that you're recognizing their efforts. And sometimes, guys, it's not about even rewarding or giving recognition for work-related stuff. It could be recognition for perhaps a small act of kindness, or perhaps they supported a colleague in some way, or they just did something that really stood out, yeah? So you need to reward and recognize people that are displaying behaviors that are aligned to your culture and values, yeah, to encourage them to do more of the same. And whilst we're on the topic of recognition, if you like what I shared with you within this video, then please don't forget to like and subscribe, hitting the notification bell to stay up to date with the latest video releases. And one of the most important things when it comes to culture is making sure that whoever you hire embodies the values of your organization. Because culture, and I'm gonna say it again now, culture comes from the top. So your managers have to embody and promote the culture that you want to develop, setting the tone for the rest of your team. You have to have managers who align with your organizational culture. Their attitudes, their management style, and their personality should reflect this alignment. So when you're interviewing them, you need to ask questions, you need to interrogate, you need to make sure that the questions you ask them are based around your value. And don't be afraid to put them on the spot. Ask them how they're going to promote collaboration and culture within your remote team. You want to know that they've actually done it. They may have done it in a physical, traditional sort of office setup, but have they had experience promoting culture within a remote team? So this is very important. You need to look for evidence for past success on how they've been able to create solutions when it comes to this. Encourage team members to share personal stories and perspectives, because this allows people to form deeper connections and become more invested within the culture. Have them share about their backgrounds, their personal journeys, milestones and interests. Bringing these personal details into the open can surface surprising commonalities between team members who previously may not have known each other very well. For example, you might discover that a co-worker shares your passion for embroidery after doing it yourself for months. Now you have a new topic to bond over. During onboarding and beyond, give people regular opportunities to peel back the layers and showcase who they are beyond their work. Learn about their perspectives on various topics. What media they enjoy, places that they want to travel. Set up channels for these casual conversations to unfold naturally. Because the key is to keep communication personal and human, not just all about business, because this is going to help remote teams develop genuine connections. Another one of the key components in building a great culture is trust. Because when you trust people, they often give you so much more in return. I noticed this with my own company when we transitioned to remote work. By giving a level of flexibility to my managers, their efforts increased, their ownership of responsibilities grew, and their overall performances skyrocketed. Some of them who previously clocked out at 5 o'clock sharp began working longer hours, all because I gave them a bit of trust and flexibility. They gave me so much more back in return, showing just how crucial trust is in building culture. And you also need to be able to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. Inevitably within any team, there are gonna be people that push boundaries. This is natural. In a normal office setting, this happens all the time. But when working remotely, it's important not to micromanage. You may not be able to observe them in the office, but with the right systems to monitor and manage output, it shouldn't be an issue. So giving people your trust is essential when it comes to building a solid culture. And look, I get it, guys. Building a strong company culture in a fully remote environment may at first seem challenging if it isn't something that you've typically used to doing. But with the right strategies, it can be so much easier. Sometimes it's just a shift in mindset. So by focusing on team building, articulating your company culture at every opportunity, giving recognition, providing space for people to be themselves, and hiring managers who embody your culture, you're going to be on the way to creating a fun, thriving, and engaged remote team. And once you achieve that, it becomes an incredibly exciting place to be. So, as always, I hope you gained value from today's video. If you haven't already, then please like and subscribe and give me your feedback in the comments section below. And I'll see you on the next video.